Well, now here we are in the wonderful Douro, and we're in the Quinta de Napoles, which is the ranch of Dirk Niepoort, Porto's leading light and wonderful ambassador. And I've just come here on a visit. I'd just like to ask Dirk a few questions, just to see how he ticks. Where and when were you born?
I was born in Porto on the 11th of March 1964.
Okay, and what was your first encounter with wine?
Oh, I don't remember. There's a picture of me at a Christmas dinner. I was about 7. Probably I tasted a bit, and I was looking through the holes of a Swiss cheese. And probably I tasted wine before with the finger and things like that. So, but I don't remember.
And when and why did you decide to make wine?
It's strange. My involvement with wine was every day. Obviously, dinners, lunches with my parents. But I never really cared a lot about wine. And in '83, I believe, I went to Switzerland to do a stage, and it could have been a stage in a bank or in the wine company. And by coincidence, it happened that it was a wine company, and they had an internal book about wine, a very basic book, and at that time I was not really reading much, and I really read the book with an enormous passion, and I thought it was fascinating, and so I was very greedy in those days, and then I decided to spend some money, and which at the time 25 francs was a lot of money for me. So I went to a wine shop and asked if they had Chateau Petrus. They said yes. What vintage? And I said, I don't know. Is there a difference? Well, he showed me the bottles, and the prices were very different from 25.
A little bit more, I should imagine.
Yeah, 700, 1,000, or something like that. So I got a bit nervous, and I said, well, do you have Chateau Yquem? And yes, what vintage? And it was a similar situation. So I got out of the shop, and my girlfriend happened to come by, and then she looked at me and said, what's happening with you? You look so pale, you look so white. Are you sick? And I said, yeah, I don't understand the wealth. I mean, how do people spend so much money for it? And so I got a bit curious about why so much money, why would someone spend money? And I asked, I said to the company people, I said, I'm a volunteer to help in the tastings. I don't want any money.
This was in Switzerland?
In Switzerland, in Zurich at that time. And so the first tasting actually I went to help was Chateau Petrus. It fascinated me because I didn't particularly like it. And I still don't particularly like it. At that time, Chateau Madeleine was, I thought, more interesting. But at the end of a few months of helping, they finally gave me some bottles, or 2 bottles. And so suddenly I had an expensive bottle in my hand, and it just got more and more interesting. On top of that, the director of the French part of Mövenpick, both directors, French speaking, they seemed to like me, and so they took a lot of trouble into explaining every day everything to me and opening something special, and so that's where the bug started.
Okay. And when and why did you decide to make wine?
I went to do a stage in California, and I worked at Cuvée, and there was the owner of Pine Ridge, who I lived at sometime in their house, and he was very generous with me, and he opened bottles, a lot of German wines, and so on. And at the end, when I was leaving, he asked me if I was going to do wine in the Douro, and I said, oh, of course, I'm going to make port. And he said, no, I mean red wine. And I said, well, inevitably, I will try. So what kind of wine will you be taking? And I said, well, I think my first one is going to be a Monster, but I think in 25 years I will be making fine, elegant wine. And he said, why don't you do fine, elegant wine if you want to make it someday? And I said, because I have no idea what a fine, elegant wine is, but you keep on telling me that there are some French wines which are much more refined than California. You seem to be struggling to do elegant light wine. And for me, at the moment, the only thing I understand is the big, heavy Californian style. So I think it will take time for me to understand it.
Porty stuff.
And it's really interesting that it took me more or less 25 years to get it. And our wines are, I would say, maybe since 2013, also before that a little bit, have changed dramatically. And the wines are much finer, less alcoholic, less woody, a lot more interesting. And I think they will age also better.
Well, certainly there's a tendency here. I've visited Villanova, the Carmelitas,
Yep.
yesterday, and they seem to have been getting away from port and now going into table wine. I think they're doing a pretty good job as well, but you've always been...
It's not getting away from port as a rule, I would say. It's just the port is going on steadily, but the wine side has become a dramatic change. I mean, in our case now, it's only, port is about 30% and wine is 70% almost. And it's not because the port decreased, it's just the wine side has become incredible.
Well, they told me now they're doing 90 wine to 10 port, which is quite different. Was there any particular person who you could say you learned your craft from? Do you have any particular mentor?
Yes, I have a few heroes. The cellar master from us, the third generation, I spent a lot of time with him in the cellar, with a lot of time in those days. So I learned a lot from him. I would say probably the strongest thing I learned from him was thinking in 20 years and being calm and thinking a lot about the things before actually doing it. But there is also Wilhelm Haag from Mosel, who probably taught me the incredible lightness of the wines that the Mosel are, but also I think it influenced me in pretty much all the wines we do. Angelo Gaia was a person I spent a lot of time a long time ago, and a very inspiring person, very interesting person, very intelligent, very fast head, but a fantastic person to listen. It's incredible. He doesn't look like someone who listens, but in fact he's actually a very good listener.
Okay, well that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
How would you describe your winemaking philosophy?
It's very simple. Less is more. So basically these days the logic is the old-fashioned logic of terroir. So respecting the vineyards. I like to work with old vineyards, but not only old vineyards. I like the old-fashioned way of handling the vineyards, which in many ways is very biodynamic. It's not, but there's many things that are similar. And in the cellar is literally doing as least as possible. So we don't use pumps to extract. We work the wines very little. We keep them quite a long time. We don't rack a lot of times. Color is not really important for us. The wines are picked with better acidity than most people in Portugal, but literally I think less is more.
And so how would you describe your style?
Our style is, I would say, very authentic to where the grapes are grown. Our wines are not woody as a rule, not heavy in alcohol. They have very strict, fine acidity, fine tannins, and an elegance that is not very common in Portugal, I would say.
How has 2016 been for you?
16 is a year that I don't particularly like. The good news is the wines are very good. but somehow I have a bad relationship with the 16 harvest. It all went well. I think we picked at the right time. There was some rain. I'm not sure that waiting uh, for the ripeness for making port was a good decision. But obviously the wines picked after the rain seem to be bigger, darker, seem more luscious, but have this overripeness side effect that I don't particularly like. The ones picked before are a bit thinner in a way, but more elegant, more refined. So I'm not sure that 16 is a great year. On the other hand, 2015, in my opinion, is a stunning, perfect vintage.
Great. So, what do you see as the big opportunities for you in the winery?
The world is changing so fast that it's scary. The globalization is taking over. The bigger are getting bigger, the smaller and the medium size are disappearing. But at the same time, I see some big changes, particularly in London, New York, Berlin. People getting a bit fed up with all these star kitchens and star cooks, and the sommeliers suddenly seem to be respecting their job a lot better. And instead of selling points, some of them seem to be really looking after their clients and looking for interesting wines that are not too expensive. So
I think this
see a
is
big
something.
shift in the
Yeah.
trade, and there is a part of the trade which is becoming really interesting. Also with natural wines, there's a lot of overly natural wines that taste disgusting, but
Yes,
but
there are people who make good natural wines
there are
despite
more and more people
themselves.
doing good wines, and we are launching a wine called Nat Cool, and it's actually not a wine. It's more a, well, people are saying, I shouldn't say name it a category wine, but well, I don't know what to call it then. But basically, it's not for Niepoort. This is helping colleagues and friends into making something which is authentic, not heavy, not too alcoholic, not woody, something which is fun to drink and not too expensive.
And value for money.
And fantastic value with a lot of personality.
Yeah, I mean, value for money doesn't have to be cheap.
No, exactly. You got the point.
Yeah. And what are the biggest challenges you face?
Mm, not many.
Okay, good.
Um,
Good to hear it.
I think the big challenge is really coping with the speed of the changes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and what are the most important countries for you around the world to sell your wine?
Germany, Switzerland, Norway, US, England. We're actually selling to 70 countries, so it's quite spread.
Okay, so
Japan,
you're well
Japan is
spread.
going very
Yeah, well,
well.
you've got the reputation. And so, just finally, in which direction do you see yourself going in the near future?
In the near future, I see a lot of future in this net cool movement. I see a lot of future in making interesting wines with character from specific areas, and I believe that Portugal is starting to be a fashion worldwide, and Portugal has the answer to all the questions. It's a small country, but with fantastic terroirs, with tradition, with old vines, with old varieties, and so I see a big positive movement towards Portuguese wines in the future. I think the world is getting fed up with Chardonnays and Sauvignon Blancs, which of course will
Yes.
sell a lot in the future.
Yeah.
But what was impossible to sell 15 years ago or 10 years ago with a Portuguese name, Rabo do Velho or something like that, is becoming exotic. So
Yeah,
the
I
fact
think-
that it's not Chardonnay is a good thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are appreciating local wines, autochtonic wines,
Yeah.
autochtonic grapes, and that has become perhaps in some way fashionable, especially with some of the good restaurants.
But my big challenge or future is tea. I'm thinking, dreaming that in 20 years, 50% of our turnover will be tea. And
Tea.
it sounds a bit crazy, yes, but I think Portugal has everything, all the great conditions to make fantastic tea. And tea is, after wine, the most interesting beverage in the world. Tea has so many sides to it, so many interesting little details that makes a big difference.
This is absolutely true. I was involved myself a long time ago with a Sri Lanka tea company, and there's a difference between what's in the tea bag and what you can really make.
It's incredible. Yes.
It's quite incredible. Dirk, thank you very much. As always, you are the wonderful ambassador for Portuguese wines, and thanks for talking to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.